If you're a business owner, you need to understand intrapreneurship. It's a very interesting word, a variation on entrepreneurship, obviously, but the key idea are those first two letters, I-N, because it leads to innovation. Innovation, of course, leads to double-digit growth, and that's the beginning of a new era right here in America for most mature corporations. Thanks for watching WOWBIZ TV. I'm Len Hinderrocker, and I'm visiting with the gentleman, Mark Wayner, here in Omaha, Nebraska. He is an entrepreneurial coach. He also does entrepreneurial work with corporations. Mark, thanks for joining me on WOWBIZ
Thanks,
TV.
Len.
You
Thanks.
bet. Intrapreneurship, it's an interesting word. Let's quickly define how what it really means and how it's different than the standard word that begins with E, of course.
Well, the entrepreneur is the individual that takes the risk.
Individual taking risk.
Yes, the intrapreneur is the individual that comes to the entrepreneurial business, venture, avocation, and takes ownership of what they do when they walk in the door.
Okay, but they're an employee. We use intrapreneurship
Yes,
as a kind of an in-house employee. May work in a cubicle with 100 or 1,000 other people.
Employee, independent contractor, anybody that can contribute to the success of the whole organization.
Okay, all right. Now, this is a very interesting thing because companies sustain, there's culture and there's process and procedures, and they're where they are for a reason, right? And whether they're succeeding greatly or not so much, how does somebody wake up one day and say, we need to be more intrapreneurial around here? What promotes that kind of a realization?
Well, a lot of companies and businesses look at themselves annually, their strategic plan every year.
Sure.
It says, how can we get better? And all of a sudden look at this, wait a minute, we're doing the same things last year that we did this year. That's Einstein's definition of insanity, and expecting different results.
Yeah.
Okay, what can we change? Well, our product's not going to change. Only thing we can change is our most valuable asset in the organization, and that's the people.
So, but the people are the beginning. They may choose actually to change the process, right? They may identify some particular need in the marketplace and go back and redevelop their product. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen when people are set free. Isn't that what I'm kind of?
The entire business, the entrepreneur starts, the one individual, that dream that starts a company,
Yeah.
okay, has a passion and a belief how to make this thing work. And when people buy into that conviction as an employee, come to work with them, they also, get into that, feeling.
That
Hey, listen,
modality
yes,
and a sense of
yeah.
confidence and vision. Now we skip ahead 10, 20, 30, 50 years. All right, now what, right?
Now what? The employee that walks in the front door said, do I care?
Yeah.
Am I just clocking hours?
Right. Got a
Okay.
job description.
Yep.
I do my job. I get out of here at 4:59 in the afternoon. I get a paycheck. That's the beginning and the end of it.
There's all kinds of studies out there, Lynn, where they're saying, 60% or more of the people are disengaged as employees today.
Yeah, I think it's 63%
Is it?
is
Yeah.
the most common recent number. And these are employees that they're doing as little as possible to get by and hold on to their jobs.
Yeah.
I think there's 13 or 14% that are actively trying to screw things up at the office.
That is.
I think that statistic exists
Yes,
as
it is.
well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You're exactly
so what
right.
does this have to do with intrapreneurship? Is that about engagement and getting employees more deeply involved with the spirit of the company? Is that what we're talking about here?
Entrepreneurship is getting the employee to take ownership of what they do. If they take ownership of what they do and have the same passion that the leaders do, the management, okay, then everything seems, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
That gets some momentum out in the marketplace where the business goes, listen, the people who deal with our situation every day might be the people that might have the solutions.
Yeah, so it's kind of a frontline empowerment attitude? Is that kind of what you're
yes.
saying?
It's got to be a cultural change.
Okay. Now, does entrepreneurship begin at the top or does it begin at the bottom? That's an interesting question then from an organizational point of view.
From a business aspect, they say it has to start at the bottom. From the entrepreneurial aspect, it has to start at the top.
Okay.
The person with the belief, the person who's in charge of making sure this whole thing works, has to empower people so it runs different levels. Once the people at the bottom understand, wait a minute, this idea came from the top and are going to give me a chance to contribute, so I can feel validated, I can feel like I'm making a contribution with my life, I'm not just clocking hours.
I'm doing something meaningful.
Yes,
right?
okay, the greater good, not just for the company, but if the greater good transforms out of that job when they walk out the threshold and go home at night, that attitude prevails in the family, in the community, and it's really neat system.
So if you were put into a mature kind of staid company that hasn't changed doing anything and is slowly decaying, most of the employees are not very hopeful about a long-term future, although they're doing their job and
Sure.
so on and so forth. And you were given the opportunity, injected into that environment. What would be the first thing you would do?
The first thing I would do is talk with the leadership and say, can you adapt this? Would you be willing to take a risk? the same entrepreneurial risk that the entrepreneur took when he started the business.
Way back when.
Way back when.
Right.
Listen, there's going to be some risk here.
Right.
Okay, you might hear things you don't want to hear.
So I hear now, I'm reading between the lines, that entrepreneurship assumes that we are going to take risk and that we have the ability to manage risk.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, a lot of companies are a little short on cash, or maybe their resources are a little bit tight. Would you tell those people, don't try this because it might exhaust, if things don't go well, then it might exhaust some of your resources?
What's interesting is, in my experience working with entrepreneurship,
Yes.
The risk is not doing it.
That's
Okay.
a great point. Tell us about 3M, as we wrap this interview
that's
up.
true.
I know that actually dovetails into what we're discussing here.
Well, at 3M, Crazy Glue was the biggest competitor.
Yes.
So they were going to spend a few $1 million to try to create a glue that was stickier than Crazy Glue.
They were going to be competitive and go directly at
them, yes.
Coming at them, okay?
And the individual that was in charge of the project got fired because the glue didn't stick.
Yeah.
It was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And some months later,
That's his worst nightmare, by the way.
that's his worst nightmare. Geez, I got this product, now the glue doesn't stick. And
Right.
so all of a sudden somebody went, wait a minute, these two pieces of paper don't stick together.
Yes.
Out of that evolved Post-it notes, which have become a bigger seller than Crazy Glue 10 times over.
Right, huge.
So again, it's that empowerment that you let people. They brought him back, by the way.
And recontextualizing
Yes.
failure, reframing it and saying, wait a minute, there might be a new segment here altogether.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Mark Wayner, I find this so interesting. Entrepreneurialism and being an intrapreneur inside of your corporate culture seems like the way to jumpstart your corporate culture and really jumpstart America. It's a huge macro idea, and we're so grateful to Mark Wayner for bringing it to us. Thanks for watching WOWBIZ TV. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker.